Hey everyone, so today we have somebody from Indiana University. So this candidate is based in Indianapolis, has solved 100 to 150 lead code questions, and yeah, that's pretty much all the information I have on them right now. Would you be able to just give a quick introduction to yourself, for yourself?
My name is Jacob McDaniels. I am from, like James said, Indiana. I go to Indiana University, um, and I'm a current junior. So, um, yeah.
Cool. So how long have you been lead coding, and sort of how has your lead coding journey been so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first time that I heard about Lee Code was probably maybe 2 years ago, or maybe even less than that. Yeah, probably like somewhere in 2024. I was taking like an object-oriented programming class in C++, and I wanted to prepare for my data structures class, and that's kind of how I learned about that. Um, so yeah, I mean, and I think also there was like a Mario staircase question in a so there's this like free uh, website called EDX, and it has like these free courses online through like all the like big Ivy League schools like MIT and Harvard. And I took a computer science class through Harvard back in 2023, and I think that's probably the first time I was exposed to a leak code esque question. Um, so
Yeah. How has it been working for you? Is it starting to click right away, or some easies and mediums are still a struggle?
yeah, I think my main problem is like I'll get done with maybe a question that I just needed help with, and I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." And then I'll practice it and I'll be like, "Oh, I got it now," you know? But then not even 5, maybe a week later, when I go back to try it again, it's like there's still some things that I'm forgetting about. And I'm not sure if that's because of like the amount of things where my time and focus is in, or if that's because I didn't take enough time to really get down like the process. But yeah, I think that in a general sense, like once I do it, you know
Hmm. Yeah.
um, I can understand it, but then retaining it is a kind of another thing, especially if I'm moving on to other topics.
All right. Cool. Let's just get straight into let's get straight into the first question then.
All right.
So this Q1. What's gonna happen is we're pretty much gonna be given two non-negative integers in the form of a string, and we need to return the sum of num1 and num2. We can't, however, we can't just convert these strings into an integer, like the full string into an integer. We can't just be like we can't cast 1 1 into 11 and 1 2 3 into 1 2 in like to integer and then just add them. We need to come up with another approach. I'll let you go ahead and read that if that makes sense, and just let me know if you have any questions.
I gotcha. Okay, so as far as a string goes, is like this is integers plural, like a string, like num1 might be like 1 2 3, or are we talking about like just like one of the variables is going to be a string with one number?
So
Or
you're
I'm
gonna
sorry, I didn't see the
yeah, the example,
examples.
yeah.
Okay, so for num2, that would be three separate non-negative integers, right?
Three separate non-negative integers, num2.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a string representation of 123.
Okay. So that's my question is like each variable is going to be one number, not multiple numbers
Yeah,
or
each like
integer.
num1 is one number, num2 is another number, but they're both going to be in string format. So
Okay.
take a look at num1 and num2. The output should be 134 because if we add those up together, we should get 134.
Okay. And then it says that you must solve the problem without using any built-in library for handling large integers such as big integer. So that would be like a case if I'm dealing with like long data types or like am I supposed to have like a case where I need to handle like larger integers like longs?
Good
Is that
question.
is,
So you're asking, do we have to deal with integers that are like long integers?
yeah, what would be considered, a long constraints?
Well, I'll show you the constraints. So the num length could only be 10 to the power of 4.
Okay. As far as built-in libraries, right? So because I wonder if I
So
can
the
split
integer
these.
could be 10,000. The integer could be 10,000 length.
Right.
So it could be like 10,000. So it's pretty large.
Okay. Um. Okay. I also have another question. So, as far as like built-in libraries, am I not allowed to turn these strings into char arrays? Is that would that meet that condition?
Pretty much the only thing, what it means is you can't write a solution like this. Result equals cast to an int num1.
Okay. Right.
Anything else is fair game, I would say. Like you
I'll
can't just
be
cast them to num or long or whatever and then return that.
right. Um. So. hmm, Okay. So, I guess what I could do is I could just start with just getting some input out there. Right.
What are your approaches that you're thinking?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This seems like the only path like that I think I might have is to try to work with some kind of char array and possibly get that back, like maybe concatenated into like an integer. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm kind of thinking here. Um,
Could you explain why you need, or once you get into a car array, what you would do?
Um, so we would break that into a char array, right? So then we would have like for example, this input here would be 1, 2, 3. So then we would have an array of 1, 2, 3, and then what I would need to do is take that array and turn it into an integer somehow. Which I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that, but maybe
Turn it into an integer so you can get something like 1, 2, 3, and then eventually add them.
right. But I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get there. Because what I'm thinking is that like concatenation only works with strings. So with that being said, I'm not really too sure. I mean, we could iterate over a char array and do something that returns an integer, but I'm not sure syntactically what that might be. Um,
So
but
so
yeah, I
pretend we
think
just had the numbers 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, and 11. How would we actually add these up to get 1, 3, 4?
well, you have the two variables, so we would want to, I guess, get them back into. So we have our string variables, so we would need two new variables eventually that are integers, right? So that we can be able to do math operations. Um, as far as how we're going to get there, get these converted, I'm not entirely sure, but that's how we'd be able to add them eventually, add them up.
Okay, but what happens if they're a list? If, like you mentioned, we converted them to a list of integers.
Yeah, I mean, from that standpoint, yeah, I mean, if we had a char array, I guess we could turn that into an array of integers. Um, from there,
Well, like, I well the I'll tell you the solution isn't turning them back into integers because then pretty much all we'd have to do is just add them together. So it's pretty much the same as I mentioned casting it, but that just takes a few step, like an extra step.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really too sure how I'm gonna get these um, to where they need to be so we can add them. Um, how without using casting, I mean, how would I
Or pretend these
accomplish
are
that?
integer. We pretend we can only cast one digit at a time. Pretend these are integers now, and then we have num one like this. Pretend we had two arrays that describe. Pretend we have two arrays that describe two integers. So this describes 1, 2, 3, and this describes 11. And we just want to print a result of 1, 3, 4. How would we do that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that seems like an interesting scenario. I guess you would need to kind of understand the amount of indexes in both the arrays and then kind of get them lined up, right? So that we can add three with, um, or I'm sorry, index two with index two, and, or I'm sorry. So basically, we need some way for this to happen, if this kind of makes sense. Like it needs to be lined up like kind of elementary addition.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if we know like the size of each array, that way we can get them lined up the way that they need to be, if that
If
makes
we know the
sense.
size, they won't be the same size all the
Right.
time.
So,
Yeah.
for example, if like this is an array of size 2 and this is an array of size 3, then what we would need to do is say the very first index of our second array needs to be added to index 1 of um, the first array.
Okay.
So the I think one maybe like easy solution could be like if we have something like that, um, maybe we could add like 0 to the front of num2 and then add, right? Like indexes, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
that makes sense. So like add some padding here, so it's 0, and then it lines up.
Right. And I guess that is also dependent on the sizes, right? Because if num one is maybe 5, right, and this is still 2, then we need um 3.
Yeah.
So 5. Oh, so we could just subtract the indexes, and whatever that difference is that we pad the front of the smaller array.
Hmm. Um, what would be the runtime for adding elements to the front, like padding here?
Probably O of n. That'd be
Hmm.
really slow. Um, as far as making that better, I'm not really too sure because the solution is kind of like, hey, we're just gonna add these in here. Um, but I guess without traversing, right? If we don't have to traverse, then it could be like O of 1, right? We don't have to traverse the array.
If we don't have to traverse the array.
Yeah, so like if I know the difference, right, then I could just like out in the open say, hey,
Yeah,
like we're gonna
that makes
put at
sense. Let, let,
index.
let's talk. Let's assume they're the same size, like two. So, um, we have about like 6 minutes left for this question. So maybe write out some code where you're adding two numbers that we could assume they're already in arrays, but then assume that they're the same size as well. So we don't need to deal with the padding at all.
Okay. So so I could just already have an array or
Yeah, we could assume if you come down to the code here, we could assume the input. Like write me some code that it could add like two, and they're gonna be the same length.
okay. Okay. So so I think the base case for this maybe could be that if they're equal, then that what we
Let's
can
assume
do.
that it's actually they're actually equal. Yeah,
Okay.
just assume that they're actually equal. Don't worry about that part. Just write the function that maybe we have like a int num3, like an integer array, and then add these, basically generate me something like 3 and 3. What's 11%? Yeah, 33. Because afterwards, all we need to do is convert that to a string, and we're good.
Okay. Um so definitely this is probably going to be end up being um O of n, at least for the brute force. I'm not really too sure how we could improve this at the moment, but I don't even need that, I don't think. All right, so that's probably
Num3
or I'm
0.
sorry. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Yeah, and then like write out some test cases to see if it passed.
Probably I. Um, yeah. So that's probably what I'm thinking here is that, um, at because like you said, we want this to end up looking like this. So what we're gonna do is that at each index, add, and then the result's going to go kind of lining it up, right? So if that's the array like this, the first time through the loop, 1 plus 2 is 3, and that's going to go in index 0. We're going to go to the next one. 1 plus 2 is 3, and all of these would be index 1.
Okay, how would we test the code?
Well, I mean, I could check, right? Um,
Let's get.
well, I mean, we could do a for loop, and every time through, we could, print off the index. But I wonder, um, if instead of that, we could do this as well.
I want to see what the final num3 is gonna be. Like what the final.
Like
Let's
total.
return the output. Let's return like an output here.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, what if the num3? Okay, just go ahead. Just print that. See if it runs. Error.
Am I missing something here? I'm kind of confused. Why
Uh,
this is?
what does the
Uh,
error say?
it looks like somewhere a semicolon is missing, but I don't think that's actually needed here. So Oh, right. Okay.
Now you're gonna have to run your function. How do you make that function run in the main function?
Right.
So what's happening now? It says index zero out of bounds.
right. So I think because num3 is empty, um we're not getting anything. So I don't know if populating it with 0 is going to make a difference. I don't really think that. Um Maybe it's because of this num3 at I, because there's nothing in it yet. I'm not exactly
Well,
sure.
you're so not wait. What happens when you instantiate an array in Java? It creates an array, right, of a fixed size. So it's creating an array of size 0.
Okay.
So it's saying index out of bounds. That means you're accessing an index that's out of bounds because it's an empty array. Nice. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a list. I don't know what I'm thinking about here. Sorry.
Okay. This creates an int of what size?
I guess we could just say, just for this case, right? Since we know that they're the same. So
Okay. Okay. Now like prove to me it works. How are you gonna prove to me it works?
so if I run, um, I guess I'm getting returned some kind of right. So I don't. Maybe we need another, like, something that says like print array, um, like some kind of method, right? That does that. That might be what's going on right now. Um, I don't think we can directly print an array like that. That
Print
might be the
array. So
issue.
so how would we print an array? Like
Um,
how can we print out the contents of num3 so you could prove to me that your algorithm is working correctly?
right. So just as we added right up here, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So I guess that would it might be easier for um, every time through the array to, or we just do this. This is what I'm gonna say. And then right.
Okay. So
Um, and
all
I'm
right.
sorry, we don't need to do a new line. We'll just print, and it'll
Yeah.
should come back as
Nice.
33.
Okay. So now where will your algorithm break even with 2 digits?
So you're asking where will it break?
Yeah.
Like outside of the fact that like num1 and num2 are the same size,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
variable
Where
sizes.
can it break? Yeah.
Yeah, so like for example, if num2 was like of size 3, then I mean this 100% isn't going to work because they don't line up correctly. So you can't really do that
Or, yeah.
unless
I mean, like,
beforehand we make padding that does
yeah,
in fact
like,
do that.
yeah. Like I said, if we assume both of num one and num two are the same, right?
Okay.
So where else? How can it break besides that? Essentially.
So if we know that num1 and num2 have the same size, you're asking me in this case, how
Like
else would
where
it
it wouldn't
work?
work? Where would it not work? Still, like I'm basically asking you to think of more edge cases than what you mentioned. So you thought of one edge case, which is different lengths. You
Right.
already said
So
padding. What are some other edge cases?
yeah, so if like okay, like empty arrays, right? So if they're empty, we're just gonna return zero, maybe. Or
Okay.
if
What else?
I guess if both, right? If both are empty, then we return zero for sure.
Okay.
Now
What
if
else?
one is empty, then we're just gonna return the contents of whatever array is not empty. So if
What
you know
else?
num one,
There's another one that I want you to find.
there's another one. Okay. Um.
Like you have two right here.
So we definitely have like a null case. We have a case where they're different lengths. We have another case where they're both empty. Um. It could also be the case where like we can't use int maybe. Or no, I mean, I guess with the solution,
Okay.
the way this works, like long.
Pretend we have something like this.
Oh, I see. Okay. Right. So carrying over in addition. So if we have a case like that, then we need to figure out some kind of way to add to, or yeah, we need to start from the end of the array. If we have probably, I mean, it would be like that would be kind of like complicated too. That case because 5 and 6 equal to 11, so that would be like probably one of the first cases where we see something needing to carry over. So
Yep. I want to handle
hopefully
that carryover
4.
case for sure.
Um, I mean, even the case like 9 plus 1. So I'm not really sure how I would account for that either. Because I mean, almost all of the numbers 1 through 9 can be capable of carrying over.
Can you say that again?
All the numbers 1 through 9 are capable of carrying over. So like 1 plus 9, 2 plus 8, three
Yeah.
plus seven.
Okay. Let's just go
So
to the basic case then. 2 plus 10, or two. Sorry, 2 plus 8. How would we handle this case now?
um, so and you're saying that for this case, it would also be the same size, right? So 2 and 8.
Yeah, they're the same size, but the final
Okay.
result is gonna be 10.
Yeah. So I think what I would probably do is that if the result, um, like if an index's result is greater than 9, then we need to add to, um, like So, and I'm going to say the next index, but what I mean is like if we have a for loop that starts at the end of our array, right? So the next index would then be added whatever like the remainder of the first like column is.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Let's see what's the case. Okay, sounds good. Okay, we're about at 40 minutes, so let me stop that about here. 35. And then let's just work through this question so you have like some. So,
Okay.
okay. So, I think. So, what I saw from you in this interview would be I think you just have. You still have a lot of practicing to go. I think you'll get to it with just enough practice. But first off, I think just being familiar with the language and just getting more comfortable with the language. So, for example, being able to easily catch errors, such as initially you're sort of creating the nums like this, and when you're trying to add it, we were running into a null pointer exception because it's trying to access like the zeroth index, the one index, whatever. But this is empty, so that's why you're getting the null pointer exception. Let me run this. See. So see index 0 out of bounds for length 1. So I think just being familiar with the language, and one way to do this a lot simpler and what you're kind of doing is using the array list instead, because the the array in Python or the array in Java is not dynamic, it's static. So like for handling the carryover, that's where the issue where you could run into the issue, because I'll just go through how you could actually solve this question. So like the solution I was expecting was we have num1 here, right? And you're following this so far, right?
Yeah.
So the solution I was expecting was we have num1, num2 as input. What we do is we would convert this into, it could be an array list. It could be it could be a list of integers or even just a list of strings. Doesn't even matter right now. But pretend we just converted to a list of integers right away. And pretend it
So
was
that would have
even.
been fine. That would have been okay with um,
Let's do.
the built-in library portion.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I pretty much
Okay.
said you just can't do here. You can't just convert the whole string into a long or int and then
Like
just add them,
casting.
right?
Okay.
So once we have num1 and num2 as a list here, let's go with this. We would just build a num3. So pretend, actually let's say this is 21, right? We know that we need to pretty much add the or start with the least significant digits, and using elementary division, 1 plus 9, we would just add this. 1 plus 9 equals 10. If it's over 10, then we have to carry 1 over, right? That's how the division work or addition works. And then what is this? 11, 12. Then that's 12. This would be 2 and another carryover. So what we could actually do is just reverse both of these numbers so that we get the least significant digits at the end, at the start. Now we just do what's 1 plus 9? 10, which is 0. And we maintain some sort of carryover variable. So we do a carryover here. What's 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 9 is 12. That's equals 2. And then we get to the end and we have another carryover. If we have a carryover and we get to the end, we just attach that to the end. And then reverse that again and get 1, 2, 0. So yeah, 99 plus 21 is 120. So that would be sort of the solution here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
oh, go ahead.
basically, if whatever array has the least significant digit, we're going to reverse it and then get that solution. And then when we print it out in
Well,
reverse.
Okay, so what even do you get what I mean by what the least significant digit is?
Um, I mean, I guess not. Go ahead and explain.
Yeah, least significant digit is just the first digit in a number. Let me see if I even what is least significant digit. So basically, the least significant digit is the rightmost element, or is the rightmost digit. So here it'd be 6, here it's 7. Because when we add, we need to start with the least significant digit, or we need to basically work from right to left, right? So if we're doing elementary division, we don't start at the front. Well, we start at 6 plus 7. Then we go 5 plus 7. Then 4 plus. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's why you would reverse them. That's why. And someone asked in the chat, is it necessary to flip the array? It's not necessary to flip the array, but it does help, because then once you reverse the arrays, what's so 4 plus 6? Because if you want to add 6 plus 7, if you reverse the arrays, it lines it up perfectly. So we're at 6, 5, 4, and we have 7, 7. So now we just need to iterate from left to right and just start adding those together. So 6 plus 7 was 13. Would it carry over? So
So you would
this.
reverse the. Okay, could you go to explain that? Because I know in the last one, right, we had similar sizes, but in this case, you reversed. Did you reverse both or just one?
You you would have to. Okay, what would happen if you only reversed one?
I well, I guess that would be the case that you're writing right now.
Well, if you reverse 77, like that, it's a palindrome, so it's
Right. So that's
only
why I'm
reverse.
asking though, is like, is it for both cases when we have differing sizes of arrays, or is
Okay,
it
let's look
just
at this. Let's look at 4, 5, 6, and 5 2. So, would we have pretend we wanted to compare the least significant digits, the ones on the very right? How would we get it into a state where we're comparing both of them?
well, so you would need to reverse the first array,
Okay, then we get 6.
654.
Okay, and then
I
like
think that
it
5 2 would then yeah, stay the same in that
well
case.
then okay, then we'll be doing like 6 plus 5. 6, we'll be adding 6 plus 5 here. I
Okay.
think just go
So
back, just I'll send you over this question. I think it's gonna be hard to like walk through it. Like I would rather have you sit down and think about this question. It's a good question to learn and just or just try it out yourself. Now that you gave it a shot, I'll give you a small hint. Um, yeah, just I'll send it over to you.
okay.
But I think yeah, I think just more practice. It's good that you're starting now. Just start off with some of the easy questions and just make sure you can even implement. Try even just implementing a lot of them from scratch without leak code. Don't look at the answer right away and don't copy or paste any code. Just go try to implement it. Um, try starting with this one first.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this problem definitely threw me off with this. You must solve the problem without using any built-in libraries. Um, I think I probably spent a little bit too much time thinking about what that exactly meant, as far as utilizing certain syntax. But um, yeah, I definitely think that there's certainly some cases in here that I'm not sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely need more practice with this question for sure.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you. Let me give it to you. All right, cool. Thanks for taking the time out to interview. Let me
Yeah,
know
we could.
when you're yeah, practice that one a little bit, and maybe we can book in like a month again, see where you're at.
Yeah, yeah, for
Cool.
sure.
All right, man. Have a good day. See ya.
All right. Thanks, James. Bye.
Bye. No problem.